Start streaming. Yes, excellent connection. Said excellent connection. Yes, excellent connection. Let's get 2 minutes. Start on time. Although I guess like most people watch on catch up, so I can probably start it now. Right, I certainly can do the intro now. That's what I'm doing. Um, Hi, I'm trying to find a slot for something I hope will become a regular live streaming, live coding event. And I thought Smash the Sunday Scaries was a good one because that time of the afternoon, less now, right? Especially since I'm not working tomorrow, but especially when I was a kid, yeah, that really got me the Sunday Scaries. I'm glad we get a name for that because I hadn't back then. So one thing that's great for your mental health is one of the M's. So the M's are um, well, I'd say the one it is last, but it's like there's move, meet, so movement, exercise, just move your body, meet, socialization, social contact, and make. And so making things is great. You get stuck into a creative project. So without further ado, here we go. That's cut. I should have used a fade. Right. I would like to make some processing art. So I'm just going to go to turinglab.co.uk. Don't even need to be logged in. I go to content. Okay, I'm not even logged in. And yeah, I had started some. What was it doing in here? I must have. Hmm. I got a blank processing canvas. That's all I want. I really like the Turing Labs one. I'm gonna make it. Okay. Let me have a look at how it looks. I can't. Oh yes, no, there's a little bit of lag with the YouTube view. So I'm still like, oh, make. I'm still at make. Okay, so there's a big delay. We'll find out whether that's too big. Okay, I now have a processing sketchbook. I'm happy. What are we doing today? So we did Piet Mondrian last time, um, and this time, let me just check the streamer. Yeah, okay, we have sound. A keyframe. Oh no. Bridget Riley. Bridget Riley, born 1931. She had a retrospective at the Tate Modern that really impressed my tutor, Miles Berry, and he's actually got a video about this. But because he did it live on to show to some art trainee art teachers in Lausanne, in Switzerland, over the internet. I thought, yeah, that reminded me there's some really cool stuff to be done. And so there's some. She's part of a movement called, well, it's affiliated vaguely to a movement called op art, which is optical illusion art. There was a lot of that in the 60s, in particular, like this kind of stuff. Now, the one I am interested in is the one that I think she made for the retrospective, or certainly was displayed on a big mural at Tate Modern, and it's called Composition with Circles, which is a composition with circles. Composition with circles. Look at that. So my search history for some reason. Right. So there's a bunch of those, and it's hard to tell which ones are the real Rileys because it looks like could be fairly easy to do. But it's this kind of strip of just. We'll start with that, right? I certainly really hope that it's going to get more interesting as you'll see. But this is essentially a grid of circles. The nice cream background. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's do one circle. What's the background? Um, Now we can put full white background. If we put normally, processing's a bit funny with that, but yeah, processing is a bit funny with that in that it wants the real processing. Sorry, chewing lag is a bit funny with that. The real processing is okay. You can pass 255. That will be if you just pass one number. It's in. Oh, that's too small. Is it because I've done some mess with the zooming or something? Okay, no, not to worry. We're going to set the size of our canvas to 400 by 400 and run it. Right, we now have a 400 by 400 canvas and a completely white background. And to get a bit of a cream thing, let's make that like a bit more red, 240 and then maybe 220, 220. So I like that, like, it's like in the Matrix. I don't see the code, I just see, yeah, a bit too pink. 230 then. Nice. Okay. Circle is an ellipse. 4 parameters to the ellipse. That is the x, the y, the width, the height. Now, let's have those be 50. So if we put the same for width and height, now it's a circle. And this is the xy coordinates of the center. So let's put one in the middle just to see what it looks like. What would that look like? 200, 200, 50, 50. Okay. Now there's a fill here. I want no fill. Initially. No fill, I don't pass any argument, but watch out, any command, any function that is 2 words, it's camel case, which means the small head of the camel and then a big hump. So small n, no f, no stroke, small n, no s. There's a bunch like that, any kind of more than one thing. Okay, I got my circle on the thing. Somehow it looks like it's a different color when we know it isn't, because we're seeing through the circle. So I'm going to want a bunch of those, I guess. So what if I did, well, okay, so this is, I mean, even it's just a farmbot. That's the end of the farmbot unit in Turing Lab as it happens. I'm not going to refer to what I'm particularly doing for work, but like it's iteration, it's loops for x in range. Now I'm going to fancify the range because instead of kind of like saying, oh, I want, okay, so if they spaced by 50, I get a 400 canvas. I'm going to want like 8, right? All right, something like that. No, I'm just going to go, I'm going to move it from 0 because that's what I want, the center of whatever leftmost circle here. So it's from 0 to 400 for my last circle, but in steps of, so if I do 50, they're going to line up, kind of really circle middle to middle, edge to edge. For x taking the values like in a range that's made up of, from 0 to 400, actually, I might. Do I need to do 401 just to be safe? I'll explain. In steps of 50, we're going to do an ellipse in X thing. I don't like that this is red. I hope this is going to work. It does. Okay, so I didn't want 50, I realize now, because 50 is the width, which is the diameter. My circles are 25 of radius. Because if you look at the Riley, so we have decomposed like a little bit too quickly, because I know what's going on in here. But let's open image in a new tab. What is making a noise? I thought I had turned off all my noises. I guess I can just mute my computer. No, I can't. I can't fire up because this is live streaming. I'm not going to show what's going on. Whoever's calling me. Yeah. All right. Okay. So what we have here is that the circles are on rows, right? There's one. This one's got almost a full column, so I can see there's one. Actually, that's another one, two, however many. But however many you can fit on the canvas, bearing in mind, if I see one of them that's a full set, this has got 3, and those are connected here. They will all touch each other. So, except that, sometimes they are circles, sometimes they aren't. But when they are circles, they're on a clear grid. That's the top is the first line of the grid. Can I annotate this? That would be quite cool. You know what? Yeah, hold on. All right, so this is a Mac. So it's Apple Shift. Wait a minute. No, the full thing. All right, Apple Shift 4. I'm taking the whole. I'm going to leave it more margin. So okay, third time's the charm. Then on either side. Here, even including the signature, but not the date. Okay, I've got it here. I pull it up, and from here, can I do lines? No. Shape, line, yes. I feel like we could have liftoff. Let's use some black, dark, very good, nice black. All right, okay, so the lines are created like that. Well, so that's a line of centers of the circle, of the circles. I'm going to check it. I'm going to Apple C, Apple V. I can even use the arrows to move it. That's another line of centers. If I just get it just right. Right. That's another line, right? So they all intersect to the tune of 1 radius. All of those kind of this grid on which the circle are placed are 1 radius apart as well. And that's the same kind of vertically, right? We can do this. You can see that's a line that lists like, the circles are centered on that line if they're at the edge. Copy that, move it, you get it. That's the decomposition of the piece. So we want circles, no fill, blackish. We can pick a different stroke color. I don't know if this is sort of age of the photography, but we can always do that. And they are on a grid. Let's do a third one just to be complete. Oops, I'm going to do several things at once computer-wise. Not going to work very well, but yeah. So I want to make however many does that range from 0 for the lowest center to 400 in my case, the extremities, and I want them spaced by one radius of circle, meaning in steps of 25. I'm going to save it. I can probably come in useful. I didn't want to call it like screenshot something, but it's not a bad idea to have the I'm just filling the air now since like I got the what we call the spinning beach ball of death in Mac parlance. Okay, we're back here. Excellent. So what was the problem? No, we're good. We're good here. Um, so maybe I wanted a sort of lighter stroke, maybe even also quite reddish, but so I want it darker, but I want a bit more red. So how about 40, 20, 20, no, 30, 20, 20. I want to pinkish. Uh, what have I done? Sorry, it's 50 here. It's in steps of 25 here. Bit more. 60, 50, 50. So dark gray. Yeah, yeah, I dig that. Okay, right. That's a row of circle. But then instead of having them at 200, I'm going to have them as y, at y, and wrap this in a nice little loop for y in range between 0 at the top, 401, so get the last one, 25, I don't know if it matters. At this stage, I'm doing this for luck. And just select both, press tab. Oh, I see what the problem is. There's an expectation of indentation by 4 spaces. This is just by 1 tab. Okay. Oh, okay. Right to the Turing Lab guys. It turns out the default indentation is different in different Turing Lab projects. So this is something I can report because I know the two gentlemen. Turing Lab indent. Maybe it's configurable somewhere. I think like sometimes like some stuff expands. Is it here? Nah, I'm not logging anyway. That realistic plumpkin could be quite interesting, though. I could probably just do one of those, but I like to connect it with modern artists. In that instance, living modern artist. So I've got rage. For y, taking the values between 0 and 401 in steps of 25, and within that, for x, taking the values between 0 and 401 in steps of 25, I'm going to draw an ellipse at coordinates x and y, but with a constant size of 50 by 50. And now I have, woo, it's already making my eyes go quite funny. So this is, yeah, nice little tiling wallpaper. You could do something like, this is going to be interesting. It's going to sort of deform them. And no, even plus x and y, we'll see. Plus, how about this? Sorry, I'm gonna, you'll see, because I don't want them to add the actual coordinate. I want to add which of the circle it is. So the kind of iteration, but because we're actually iterating over the full range as opposed to having iterators and then multiplying them, it's like this. Yeah, and there's probably closing bracket here. Ooh, okay. I like it. Gets interesting towards there. Oh, that's not bad actually. I think I get some. So if I wanted this to, I reckon if it starts getting interesting if I use smaller or even different ones on. Well, okay, 10. Whatever you get for me, baby. So if you use all the circles, you can already do some quite cool stuff. If I have, oh, you know what? I'm gonna move. I'm gonna do the REPL on the side. Let's create a processing REPL, processing PY. I think I will legit try and use P5.js. I wanna. It's bad to kind of always stay in the same language. Briley. This is all set up. It's going to take forever to launch, but I can continue on the other one. We don't need all of that. Our setup is this. I'm going to want this indented, of course. Not going to be able to, I'm going to fix the indent as well in the here. I'm going to do this every draw. So that's every frame. This is how it works. Except I'm going to use mouse X and mouse Y, which here won't get highlighted because it's the linter from. I could have run processing on the bare metal. I feel bad now. Let's also have a frame rate. 5 is probably fine. Okay, whilst this boots, take my excellent. This is a Twining's moment of calm. I found mugs have too small a volume, and I like a big thing. I wish I had a handle. And we have no viewer. So I need a concurrent viewer. Oh, someone coming in. Someone came in. Oh, that might have been me. Don't know what's going on. Right, this was our thing. Hasp replit. Still going. Okay, we don't. Let's leave that aside for the moment. To do the Riley piece, we want this grid, and that's iteration. That's nested iteration, which those are sort of end of farmbot challenges. But we're also going to want selection. We only want to display the circle if, let's say, a random number. By default, this gives me a random number between 0 and 1. Not like, a random real number between 0 and 1. So if a random number is smaller than, let's say there's a 50-50 chance, then, only then, will we draw the ellipse. So we need to indent this and run it. Okay, I don't like the clustering, and it's still a little bit too numerous in places. That's good, that's a good one. Looking at the piece, I wonder if they may have different probability of occurrence across the vertical or the horizontal, or is just the clustering. Well, yeah, that's procedural Riley. Okay, we were here with this one. Oh, let's look, it's worked. Okay, can if I zoom in, will it zoom everything? Yeah. No, I don't want to zoom in. Actually, I want to give it a big window. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I need to redraw the background of every frame. My eyes deceive me. Inconsistent indentation. This won't do. Okay, back to Riley. So that's pretty good. I got some good material out of it. What it's doing, it is also doing a bit of selection. We get if, else we could do something else. What if we started having I'm going to call this width diameter, right? Because actually d, right? D for diameter, right? And this time, what if the diameter was a random number? And how about between? So the grid is all going to be the same. I'm not going to want any smaller circle than this. Maybe not. Don't know. But I want them to maybe. No, that was actually 50, wasn't it? 50, but maybe up to like 200 to start with. So now every circle is going to be a different radius, which is a random number between 50 and, that's way too big. Okay, 50 and 70. Oh, interesting. That's breaking the regularity, making them more kind of bubbly. 50 and 100. Now, what if I had this, but I also had a random number, a random bit to the stroke. In fact, I'm going to make the first part of the stroke D, and then 50. Is it 50-50? Yeah. So that's going to still be this gray, but with some degree of kind of random amounts of red in it. It's hard to tell. I think I can pass a fourth color. Yeah, and that's transparency. So at here we have a full stroke. Oh, that's a 255. This is a fully opaque stroke, so we can make that a bit transparent. This is going to where it gets interesting. We can also have, how about a fill that would be no, but I also want I want that kind of deep blue. And you notice the order in which that's literally they are now on top of each other in the order in which they were drawn. So it starts at the top left and then goes from there like to the right to cover those, and then the next layer cover those, etc. That's interesting. We've made kind of like pretty clouds, and every time you run it, it looks different. We could of course change the probability, maybe like make that more sparse. But like this looks very dense because, but what if it did just a very like, that's the stroke. Actually, I wanted to fill a very like bit of transparency in the fill. So now we're going to be able to see them superposed on top of each other. And the more circles that superposed, I'm feeling lucky, 120. But I'm going to want to increase that to 0.6 because they're going to be less overlapping. Oh, maybe they just look. Now, what we can then do is actually wrap that in yet a third loop. And this time we're going to do, maybe just at a 5, right? So this is going to give us another number where maybe, what if we did 50, 60, but then multiply that by, let's do it 1 to 5, so it's going to be 4 times, multiply that by z. Now we're going to have a lot more, so we probably want, okay, not mad about this. I could do z over 2, I can make those smaller. 20, 30, the ratio is not the same. Yeah. So because of this, I want them to kind of appear less often, right? Because it's much more dense. So every turn, every circle being drawn, I want it to be driven by even a lower chance of drawing. Yeah, and so we still get, then we can see the small ones. What if this time we were to start them big, in fact start them maybe larger than it need to be, and then start dividing integer div by z. Now they're going to come in like within each other. Now this is because I'm not worried about density, I might want to bump that. Now you notice there's a couple of things I'm playing with here. How's my replit? Has it booted? Okay. Now, yeah, this is where we have the but the problem is this is not, yeah. So I'm constantly, well, yeah. I mean that's kind of a nice interactive sketch with the sort of tiling, and you can make patterns and moires appear. I dig this. So here it looks like it's very overlapping, but actually the circles are really quite big, and it's their intersections that we see in And then you can do it across one dimension and not the other. So they are fun to be had animating those as well. But even without animating, we could give ourselves greater control if we use variables. Maybe you could call them constant, to be fair, because they stay constant throughout the sketch. So we'd have the probability. Let's make that 0.6 as we have, and then we can put prob in here. I'm going to say 0 to 1. Good, that's helpful. G is randomly generated, but we could put the upper bound just going to do n plus 1 and minus 1. If I want one iteration, I want it in range 1, 2. So yeah, n plus 1. N equal 4. This is what we have. This is the number of the whole numbers of kind of highest iterations of the whole thing. Because number of iterations, number of call them other iteration, hyper iterations. Let's call them Z iterations so that we see it affects the Z counter. I could chuck in some factors to play with the colors as well if I want them. So I've done them like mostly in the blues because I've set this kind of thing. But like if I want them in the yellows, on the contrary, I could like lower this. Now this might be a bit like that. This could look a lot better on a really almost white background. Sometimes it does. See, this is where you can see that actually it's the overlapping on this. So maybe I want, if I do a lot of iterations, I might want my fill to be even more transparent and less opaque. In which case, I probably want my stroke to be also, because that's a factor too. Now the overlapping of the circle is much more visible. So there's hours of fun to be had. I'm not digging though I'd like actually to have a very brilliant blue, but yeah, maybe like maybe have this like be 1.5. Because what's D in that instance? That was my random thing, but then it's divided by the Z. Ah, well, this is when, so the colors are going to change every iteration as well. I forgot about that. What if here I do D divide by Z and I remove it from here so I can keep, see what it looks like with this? Because if the colors are changing, this might be a bit. Sometimes we want, ooh, okay, very tasteful. I like that. This kind of blueprint kind of vibe. Particularly if I were to, so is that first one that's not. Let's just forget about that for a bit. This is where I want to, sorry, this is where I wanted to re-inject the Z. I don't need my colors to be based on diameters, but I need what I've decided, the logic I've decided for it to, I need to, yeah. So that's the stroke. That's the stroke. So that's already covered by the transparency, so I can afford maybe like no, the stroke needs to be dark. Yes, 20. But how about I make that a bit poppier with this? Now we're talking with the blues. This doesn't seem to vary too much now. Maybe I'll want the. I don't like using D because then it gives it a random one. I would much rather it was driven by Z. So that's good because that's not going to change. It's like add of the complete total multiplied by, and they're going to get lighter by 200. I'm going to want the same for the green, but I'm going to lock and I'm going to, let's have a very vibrant blue, bearing in mind we have the transparency, that's the other thing. How's the stroke? Feeling more like 200. Ooh, too blue. Okay. Um, hmm. I think the problem is that this kind of like completely whitening because of that. Just too. Uh, 100 here, 100 here, 150. No, yeah. How about I'm going to do stroke weight and use Z for that. Now we might be talking, so I want the stroke to be sort of milder on that front. You can, unless as a fun, but I'm still changing. I don't want to be changing numbers there, right? I'd like to kind of be able to give some, like find something that works well and see if I can reduce the full set of numbers to proportions, because there's a relationship between the blue in the stroke and the blue in this. Etc. I've decided to drop those from that. I think that's half an hour of coding. We're happy around that. Let's have a much darker stroke. And maybe a more intense fill. And I'm not the size. What's going on with the size? It's d divided by z. Okay, well let's start larger then because we're dividing, right? So we're going to start 200. Okay. That's some blue blotches. Ah. It went for so many. I could have like, and you remember like we can in here. I'm pretty sure you can right click. Oh no, you screenshot, and what happens? It's saved. Okay. Where? Oh, I think you didn't see it against the project. Fair enough. Oh, very dark now. Not sure I'm achieving the desired results. And in the animated version, we had this. Now this is non-condition. It doesn't have even the Z iteration and no playing around with the color. But there's some cool stuff. Maybe if we also yeah, how about this? This means that the diameters are going to be affected not only by the position of the mouse, but also by where the position of the circle on the canvas. I'm still doing all of the full grid of circle though. Huge success. Okay. Yeah, so there's already a bit of a skew. Yes. Oh, I like that a lot, actually. I think that, tell you what, let's have it on the fastest frame rate we can get, because why not? Next, yeah. It'll take a little while to boot back up, but once it does, we'll definitely be in safe hands. Just going through the various changes I made. So here, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, this this is really fun. And now we're kind of getting closer to the initial grid. So if I exit the mouse by 0, 0, I can see that we've got, yeah, pretty much an increasing grid of, I think I could probably tweak that, but I can't, I might just run it in processing. That's probably for a later stream. This was quite fun. I like that. So can I fade? Look at that. Excellent. I have mastered Open Broadcast Studio. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Um, I'm sure on catch up. I hope that was like enough to seed your interest, your imagination. At first, it looks very geometric, right? But once you start playing with a couple of parameters, it can really give a sense of depth and so on. It's just about there's a mixture of trial and error. And then as you do more try and more erring, but also sometimes getting it right, then you start figuring out what works and what doesn't. And it's very much like actual art, I suppose. I'm not much of an artist unless you count those kind of things. So